speakers and guests in these evening sessions on Friday. We wish to be inspired by them, by their teachings and wisdom. And I'm sure you all agree that mental well-being, mindfulness, yoga is a key topic which is on everybody's mind given the current situation. And I'm sure you'll all be completely mesmerized by Shriam's wisdoms and learnings today. And the format would be as follows. We would have Sir share his advice and wisdom with us, and then feel free to share your inputs, questions, and suggestions in the chat window, and we'll take those questions towards the end of the session. Quick introduction. Sir's detailed profile will of course take a lot of time, but I'll do a summary version of it in the interest of time. uh, Born as Mumtaz Ali, Shri was born in Kerala. He's a spiritual teacher, author, social reformer, educationist, and a global speaker. His memoir, Apprenticed to a Himalayan Master, a Yogi's autobiography, was published in 2011, which became an instant bestseller. And then the sequel was also published. The Journey Continues in 2017. He is the author of various other books on philosophy, yoga, and Indian mysticism. Shri established the Satsang Foundation 20 years ago, and his mission has resulted in several environment and the oneness of education, community health, and oneness of humanity as a whole. Among the many awards and honors he has received, Shri was conferred the honorary Padma Bhushan by the Government of India in January 2020 for his distinguished service of high order in spirituality. You are also aware that as part of leading up to today's session, we also ran a small contest where one of the winners has been selected to win a copy of Sir's latest book, Yoga Also Forgotless. And we'll share the link for the book as well in the chat window. So any of you who want to learn more about it can see it there. And we'll announce the winner towards the end of today's session. And with this, a very warm welcome to you, Shri M. We are so honored to have you with us today. And sir, there has been so many queries and curiosities among our audience members in terms of what's going to happen, how they can really survive through this current unprecedented situation. So I would humbly request you to give us some food for thought that how can we actually make sense of it rather than just getting into corrective action, how to just embrace this overwhelming situation. So if I may request you, sir.
So, thank you, Kartik. Um, now, let me put it this way. Now we are almost 1 year into this pandemic. Um, I would say that we are at the fag end of the pandemic. Let's put it this way. I'm very positive about this, that it's now on a downward slope, trending down, and hopefully with the coming of the vaccination and all that, we'll be in a year or so. I'm hoping that the Kumbh Mela is on in March. So, hundreds, thousands of people come, right? So, first thing is the mind is as important as the steps that you take, both in hygiene, also clinical steps, and also physical steps, all these. But the mind is primary. One of the important things about this is that the moment people get, and it's an kind of a unusual, unknown, new thing, this virus. We have never seen this before. At least we don't know. We haven't encountered it in a pandemic way. Let's not go into how it came or where it came or all these sources, but it is there. It came. I think one of the major problems one faced, especially during the stages when it was on a high level graph, was panic. Now, panic is something which can cause your immune system to become less effective. Because people see somebody dying, yesterday he was healthy, today he died, what happened? COVID-19. So, there is this general panic, and then we know how media works also. When there are good things, it is exaggerated, when there is panic, it is exaggerated, both, because the media lives by exaggeration, truth. right? Like fiction is imagination exaggerated with fact. Behind every fiction there is some fact, agreed. But fiction means how you embroider it. Okay, when I first joined as a reporter in a newspaper, my editor told me, if there is no news, create news. I said, how, sir? He said, I won't tell you the mechanism which he said, but he said, if you don't have news, you create news. So creating news is the job. So that also in some way contributes to the panic. So throughout this pandemic, I have been going on internet. On one hand, I was teaching them the yogic methods of how, see, because this particular virus seems to, although it has other minor things, it seems to primarily affect the lungs. Most of the people who get this virus, they get lung problems, and then it develops into extreme pneumonia, after which almost nothing can be done. You can put them on oxygen for some time, but not for long. So here yoga, I must say this, yoga is more a preventive than a treatment. Once the disease comes, the treatment is different from not allowing it to happen. So if your lungs is strong, if you know how to breathe properly, and if you learn how to escape the panic that happens, two things happen. One is your immune system becomes stronger. See, immune system operates on hormones. When there are well-being hormones going on, the immune system is stronger. When there is fear, when the limbic system takes you face to face with fear and reacts, then your immune system becomes weak. So there are two dimensions, one is the mind, the other is the body. Now as far as the body is concerned, throughout the pandemic, I was teaching exercises by which how to breathe properly. This is part of yoga, pranayama. Now people think pranayama means breathing. No. According to the science of yoga, prana is the life energy in all of us. In all living beings, prana is the operating force, the life energy which controls metabolism. Right. Fortunately, this prana is linked to our swasa, breath. So actually, when you do breathing, it should be actually named Shwasayana, but actually we call it pranayama, because there the link is so close that if you manipulate your breath, Shwasa, you can also have a link to your prana. You can manipulate your prana as you like. So when there is panic, when there is fear, when there is a weakness created by an external virus or a bacteria that has entered our system, the immune system becomes weak. Now when the immune system becomes weak, the nadis through which the prana passes become blocked. So instead of, we don't know, I don't know medicine, so instead of starting with that, how to get rid of the virus that comes, so let's strengthen the breathing, which normally people don't know really. See, look how important breath is. From the time we are born, or maybe even in the fetus, after a certain stage it is breathing, not external air, but it is still moving. And the moment it comes out, every child comes out, there is a crying sound coming. It is basically the lungs opening up, the sound of being able to breathe air. From there it starts, and then when it goes, what happens? We are gone. In fact, people say that breath is gone. In Gujarati, they say off ho gaya, hey, finished, over, khatam. And in Malayalam, in Kerala, they say pancharai, that means there is no air in the tube. Gone, you're dead. So see how important this breath is, you know, and yet we don't give any attention to this breath. We don't. See, food you can do without for length of time, fasting. You can even do without water for some time. You cannot do without air for 1 minute, breathing. It's so important. And from the point of view of yogic higher levels of pranayama, is a link that connects you with that which controls your prana, the supreme. Anyway, that's a spiritual thing, we will leave it for the time being. So, prana, the breathing is very, very important, yet we don't give any attention to it. In fact, many people don't know how to breathe. They think breathing, those who do bodybuilding, they think that breathing is take a deep breath, take it to the chest, expand your chest, push your stomach in and you are doing proper. No. Yogic breathing is breathing in, first taking the air to the abdomen. Believe me, if you push the air into the abdomen, your tummy is not going to grow. In fact, your muscles of the tummy are going to become stronger, abdominal muscles. And then you push it in and take it up. And then you exhale. So, what happens then? There is a proper supply of oxygen in the system, and when there is a proper supply of oxygen, then automatically the immune system becomes stronger, even chemically. When there is more oxygen in the blood, the immunity is always better. So, I have been teaching this. There is a kind of breathing which now also people should do. Unfortunately, in places like Delhi, I don't know what air we will breathe, we don't know. But at least sometimes I wonder if people have the worst karma, get born in Delhi or something. I have no idea. Anyway, so
But sir, should we try this
I'm
breathing?
not
Do you want
cursing,
to
I'm just saying. So, fresh air is required. Now, we don't get fresh air in most places because of the vehicle pollution, not only Delhi, please, it can be anywhere. Even Bangalore has become like that. So, it's so difficult. So, I am suggesting to people that put on your ACs and sit down. Not during COVID, now it is almost going down, because probably you will get better air than going out. If you have a garden, if there are some trees, the trees absorb carbon dioxide and breathe out oxygen. You can get a lot of oxygen out there. So, if you have nothing, have a terrace garden or something, so that there is some oxygen coming in. Then you can open the window and sit down and do this breathing. And the breathing which I have been teaching during the COVID times, you will find it on YouTube. If you go and look for Shri M, you will see 2 or 3 exercises mentioned there. And one of them is, take a deep breath, expand your hands up, because what happens then, this is open. Then bring it at the back, hold, push it down the abdomen, push the abdomen in, exhale. Now, I said exhale through the mouth. Why? Because then you really get rid of it, like actually this is part of Kriya Yoga, partly. But so, take a deep breath, expand, take it back, hold, push it down the abdomen, take it up the chest, exhale, or whatever. Do that a few times. In the first 2 times, you might feel a little giddy, because you are not accustomed to breathing out carbon dioxide so much. It's starved, but then your next breath coming in will be full of oxygen, right. So, do this for a few times and then move your limbs, do some simple asanas. Surya Namaskara is the best. If you can manage, if you can't do Surya Namaskara, just do a few simple asanas like Bhujangasan or Sarvangasan. Why Sarvangasan? Why do we keep your feet up? Because then there is more circulation in this part of the body. Normally we don't, we are always walking. And in fact, there are people who say, I don't bend my head before anybody, they have the lessest circulation in their head, because there it is always up, it does not go down. Olden days temples had small doors, so you are forced to enter this way, you know. So, you do not have to bow before anybody, at least close the door and bow to the earth, right. Or the other day somebody I met, he said, I like temples, but today I couldn't go. I said, why? Because my boss was there. What will he think? This is the kind of thing we have. What do you do? So, anyway, so if you can't do Sarvangasan, I suggest that you go and stand near the wall, sit near the wall, put your legs up on the wall and slowly keep going little up, very slowly. That is also okay. Or lie on your bed and very slowly hang your head down, neck down from here, but do it very slowly, especially when you wake up, don't jerk, then you will get a catch here. If you have high blood pressure, not suggested, then do very little, very little. So, with this pranayama, this breathing and with simple asanas and especially 1 or 2 head down postures, breathing fresh air, wearing loose clothes, you know, it is okay to wear a tie, it looks decent, but when you do clean, you know, loosen it up a bit. And these are important things to note. Okay. One more breathing exercise, which is Bhastrika or Kapalabhati. Kapalabhati is actually meant to clean your Kapala, this area, but you can also do Bhastrika, which it will increase the functioning of your lungs. Once your lungs start functioning properly and there is enough oxygen, it is very difficult for the virus to actually create the situation for pneumonia. Maybe there, but it is very difficult to create this. Of course, best thing is to wash your hands, keep social distancing, wear mask. I agree with you. Well, Jain monks have been wearing a mask for 1,000 years. And when a surgeon goes into the surgery, he wears a mask, not only during COVID. So, there is no harm, there is nothing wrong in wearing a mask. Do not think it is a stigma, you know what I mean? Okay. Now, these are the physical factors of yoga and how to keep your immune system in order. Eat good food. When I say good food, it need not be what diet? Keto. Need not be keto diet or anything. I am 72 years old. So, when I say this, please, people who are around my age, less or more, do not think it is only meant for young people. I am 72 years young, and I have been doing these things from the age of 10. I have been practicing yoga, and I still continue to practice every day, including pranayama. I forgot to tell you about Bhastrika. Yes. Now, Bhastrika is breathing in and out fast. Then increase the speed. It is even better if you put your hand up in the end. Then take a deep breath, hold for a while, release. Not only will you feel better, you will even feel nice and calm and quiet. Something happens to your mind, which is very important. So, 3 rounds of Bhastrika is enough, more than enough, and do not hold your breath for too long artificially, especially if you have BP and so on, because it will cause a lung hemorrhage. Be careful, just in and out, in and out, in and out, hold for a short while and then exhale. Do this 3-4 times, enough. Asanas, exercise, if not go walking, go running, do something. If you think of infection, put on a mask and run, that is okay. So, these are, and food, eat moderate amounts of food, do not overeat, do not undereat. Fasting is not going to get rid of any pandemic, no, but also overeating is not going to. And if you think that since you have a hand wash in which there is alcohol, if you think amounts of alcohol imbibed will destroy the virus, you are wrong. It does not. It has nothing to do with it. In fact, hardly does virus enter through the mouth. It enters through the nostrils, and you do not breathe in your beer this way. If you want to practice that, that is also good. Have some cognac in. What I am trying to say is, some people think, every day I am having a drink, so the virus is not going to be nonsense. It does not work that way. Okay. So eat simple food, eat good food, keep your, don't fast, don't starve, just eat moderate food. Vegetarian now depends on you. I am a vegetarian. Sometimes I eat eggs, but generally I am vegetarian. And nothing has happened to me all these years, believe me. Okay. So here are some of the cardinal points in your physical thing, body and your asanas and exercise and pranayama. Now come to the mind. Even if you do this much, when your immune system is strong, then also your mind also becomes a little strong. First thing is not to panic, not to be afraid. If something comes, please remember that this time the death rate has not been as much as the Spanish flu. So, which means what? There is every chance of recovery, every chance of recovery if you do the proper steps and look after yourself properly. Take care, don't expose for some time, afterwards things will move. But even afterwards, instead of shaking hands, who knows, after 2 years some virus must be lurking, why don't you do this? I saw Prince Charles doing this in a video. I am of the opinion that even the salute should become namaskar. Anyway, it does not matter, that is up to other authorities to decide. Anyway, so this much is over. Then people are afraid of the lockdown. Oh, there is this issue of being alone, loneliness. In this period, many people were complaining, loneliness, I can't meet my friends, I can't go out, I am lonely. So, what I am trying to say is, yes, I understand that, of course, you are feeling lonely. First, develop friendship with yourself. You are your greatest friend, there is no other friend than that. 1. 2, in the olden days, people used to deliberately go into solitude, solitary meditation, solitude. Why? Because they wanted to do certain things which they cannot do in public. They need quiet. They call it solitude. So, why don't you call your lockdown, instead of saying loneliness, why don't you call it solitude? Just change the word. Say that today I am in solitude. For years I have been in this life, I have not had solitude. Solitude does not mean you should go to the Himalayas. Today I have solitude because I am forced to sit at home, I can't go out. So, can I utilize this time in something nice? Now, this is also the time when we can study our relationships. Usually people go out to work in the morning, they come back only at night, right. So, the relationship between, for instance, husband and wife or mother and child is minimum. You get 2 hours when you come back and that is the end of it. So, everything is hunky dory. When you stay home throughout, then you know what the relationship is all about. That is when you can work out your relationships properly. That is where you know your weakness and the other person's weakness. But young people come to me and ask, I am getting married, any advice? I say yes, start your marriage by saying, I am not always right. Maybe the other guy is right, the other person is right, who knows? At least give what you call benefit of doubt. So, consider the loneliness of this lockdown which you had, which is slowly opening up, as solitude, then it becomes a new dimension altogether. This is the time when you can study wonderful texts, absorb what is being written, explore your minds and see that your minds are not limited to just this little ego, but much more than this. There is a beautiful sloka from the Upanishads which says, Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamaduchyate Purnasya Purnamataya Purnameva Avashishyate, which means the origin of everything is Purna, completeness. From that completeness has come this whole world, but we feel that we are incomplete. Why? Because we have forgotten the source. If you understand the source is complete, Purna, then you also understand Purnamidam. This is also complete, although we are always incomplete, which is the whole of evolution and growth is that I know I am incomplete, I am trying to become complete. Yes, it's natural. I am not criticizing that. I am just pointing out the fact that we feel incomplete when truly we are complete. Because why? The source is complete, Purna. And it is this that takes us to fulfillment. I want to fulfill. When you say, what is the meaning of fulfillment? Fill fully, right? And it never happens. I think I am fulfilled, but something else comes up. So again, I have to fulfill. Then the filling goes on and on and on until the end. You know what happens. So I am saying, start the day with the understanding that the treasure that you seek is inside you, in your heart, in your mind. It is come, the source of that is the Purna from which it has come. Meditate on that. Therefore, what? What is the corollary to this? That there is no limit to your mind's expansion. There is no limit. We are limiting ourselves actually, and that has nothing to do with age, believe me. Nothing to do with physical age. The moment I stop learning, I am already old and dead. Never fail to learn. Keep your mind open. Don't say I know everything. Nobody knows everything. We are learning. So keep the mind open. So this is one process where the mind can be allowed to expand. Swami Vivekananda was once asked if meditation was self-hypnosis. Right? He said, it's not self-hypnosis, it is dehypnosis. He said, we have been hypnotized by the world and by various things to think that we are limited. We are unlimited in our scope, our minds. To dehypnotize ourselves from this limitation into which we have been psyched into is the aim of yoga, he said. It's dehypnosis. So this helps also to dehypnotize yourself from this fear. Something is going to happen. The moment you are able to be brave inside, your immunity also increases. It's also chemical. The mind and the ductless glands, the endocrine system, work together. In fact, many of the moods of the mind are created by the hormones in the endocrine system. When I say I feel good, well, what does it mean? That means there is serotonin and dopamine circulating in my brain. Where does it come from? From the pituitary gland. What does yoga do? It's not a physical exercise to develop your muscles. Of course, partly yes, but not fully. Yogic postures work on the endocrine system and put it in order, so that you have the right amount of hormones coursing through you, so that the wellness can be brought about with a switch button, press of a button inside. So therefore, I advocate, I am not preaching, but I always tell all my friends, I think we are all friends right now sitting together in the AIMA, that we have infinite potential provided we throw fear behind. And as far as the body is concerned, protect it through proper exercise, proper food, proper meditation and proper breathing, very important from the yogic point of view. So, if you want more details on the breathing exercises to be done, we are still not crossed over fully from the COVID situation. We are still there. Some parts are more, some parts are less, but it's there. I think you should go to YouTube, check Shri M, go through the videos and look for breathing to keep your lungs healthy, something like that. There are some titles.
There are 3 videos, I think, part 1 of 3. I've
So,
shared a
I think I have stopped. I have to stop talking now. If there are any discussion, but Kartik, I can't hear you.
Oh, is it?
I can only see you. Say something.
Hello.
No, silent.
Now? No? Hello?
You are audible, sir. Kartik sir, you
Is
are
it our
audible.
problem or their
Yes,
problem?
I'm audible, sir, I think.
Yes.
Sir, I think you are using this Blue Yeti mic, I think.
Radhe Krishna sir, are you there? Hello? I
The
Ra-
think
recording yoga is not working here. I'm telling them to do something.
I think sir's mic का जो output है ना, it's coming in that mic only. He's not.
Now I can hear you.
Yeah, you can hear me, sir?
Yes, yes, absolutely clear. Yes.
Great. So I was saying, sir, that I have shared the YouTube links here on the chat for people to see your meditation techniques and breathing. And the other thing I wanted to ask, because some of the people were asking me, is that some of these techniques and yoga, which you have advised, most of the people sometime in a physical environment, they used to have peers with whom they used to do yoga and meditation, or they used to have a guru or some guide or facilitator. That in current situation is missing. Although YouTube is there, but it's
Yeah,
just not
I
the same
agree.
for many people, right? So how do
Right.
you keep yourself motivated and self push yourself without any external motivation? So how do you do that?
You know, the motivation is always internal, it's not external. But what I understand what you're trying to say, if there is a class, for instance, and there is an actual man standing there and we are doing yoga, then there is some interest in it. After that, it becomes kind of dim, and then after time you're doing 5 minutes, then slowly stopped. Right. So there is no way out except internet nowadays. There is no way out. My suggestion is you may listen to some beautiful music with headphones and do your yoga.
Okay.
Or record the yoga teacher teaching you how to do yoga, how to do asanas or pranayama, whatever. Keep them in your ears and follow procedure. One way of doing it.
Mhm.
But there is nothing better than actually having somebody there. You need not be a guru, can be a yoga instructor.
Right.
Need not necessarily be a guru in the traditional sense of the term, but at least he should be a yoga instructor. And I think slowly yoga studios are opening up now. I would suggest that one should take up one of these courses and regularly practice. If YouTube and videos in the internet are not enough, then you should try this out. If this is not possible under the circumstances, then record the teachings, put headphones and practice.
Right. And so people who have some medical conditions, like I think you were mentioning that if you have blood pressure, don't do this and that.
Right.
So how do you tackle that?
Right, check your blood pressure with a doctor. I mean, nowadays there are portable things available. You can check it yourself digitally and see what is normal at your age, for your age. If you are normal, then you can do all the yogic exercises. Suppose your BP is high, then avoid things where there is too much of keeping your head down and legs up. Avoid exercises where there is too much pressure on the lungs, which means holding your breath for a long time should be avoided. These things one can practically work out, but my suggestion, we are going to have a wellness center here very soon. So I have made this out that when you come to the wellness center, first check all your medical, what are they called, vital statistics, like what's your blood pressure, then accordingly we can do. Suppose somebody has high blood pressure, you see, this is what happens when you learn yoga through video. Ramdevji teaches yoga on the video, fine, he is a very good practitioner himself. The problem is when hundreds of people sit, you don't know what their medical condition is. Later on people come to me also and saying we have got a heart problem now, what to do? Wait. So I say just don't do Bhastrika or don't do holding your breath kumbhak for a long time. Don't do that kind of thing. So that requires practical instruction. But Surya Namaskara is a set of exercises which I think anybody can do, except if you have a head up, head down posture. Avoid it if you have BP. All other things can be done. It's a very good package. Now we have this packaging ideas and things. Ancient times, Surya Namaskara was packaged for people, so that most exercises required in yoga are there in Surya Namaskara.
No. Right. So one of the things you mentioned is that don't panic, don't let fear enter your mind. But it's almost in practicality, it's almost difficult to do that, right? I mean, of course, people like you who have been trained over the years to isolate yourself from a certain emotion and thought, you can do. But for lesser mortals, it's very difficult to see a
There
news
are no
and
lesser mortal. I
right.
am also a lesser mortal.
So how do we handle that situation? Because I remember in one of the
Kartik,
earlier conversation also somebody told me that I hear a news and then my heart rate increases. How do I calm myself down? So we had such questions also a few weeks
so
ago.
what we do is, see, what is happening now is because we have not done anything about it till now. This is the right time to start. I am like this because I have been practicing for some time. So the earlier we start the practice, the better. Like for instance, if you can do what is called watching your breath or awareness of breath. What is the other word used for that? Huh? Mindfulness. Now, mindfulness is not just mindfulness in the breath, but mindfulness in the outside world also. We will leave that at the time. For the time being, we are thinking of mindfulness of the body. I think even if you have not done till now, you should start now at a young age, so that by the time middle age you are free almost of this panic affair, you know. So, mindfulness of breath simply means not even controlling your breath, but just being aware of it as you breathe in and breathe out. If even in a panic situation, if you do that for 5 minutes, you will see that it has gone and your mind has calmed down. It is called mindfulness, which means watching your breath. It is what is taught in Vipassana, watching your breath, because the moment you look at your breath, the breath rate becomes less. When the breath rate becomes less, the mind automatically calms down. In yoga, we say that a person's life span is measured by the number of breaths. The elephant breathes much less than how we breathe. Suppose we breathe twice in a minute, inhale, exhale. Suppose the elephant does in 5 minutes one inhalation, 5 minutes an exhalation. How long does it live? Mosquito breathes very fast. How long does it live? So, in yoga we measure the lifespan through the breath rate. The slower it is, the longer is life. So, through pranayama you can develop this capacity to use the oxygen required and not get tired. The moment you get tired, you are losing your energy, which means what? The metabolism is anabolism and catabolism. Anabolism is that which creates, catabolism is that which destroys. If you practice proper pranayama in meditation, especially mindfulness, you will be able to adjust so that your anabolism is better than your catabolism. Okay.
Right.
Here is where in yoga the practical science of what we call in yoga anulom vilom comes up, which means alternate breathing. Because in yoga we believe, which is true only, not believe, but we know that there are two major nadis in the system called the Ida and the Pingala. They are connected to our nostrils, to our breath. So, alternate breathing, which is good for the mind, good for the body, good for everything, is for immunity, is to close one nostril, breathe in through the other very slowly, hold for some time, count of let us say 10, shut the other and exhale through the other nostril. very slowly. Then breathe in through the same nostril. Exhale. Alternate. This is called Anulom Vilom. You do that for a few, but for all pranayama, I am telling you, first time you practice, you might feel a little dizzy because you are not accustomed to. After some time, you will become so wonderfully relaxed, and your whole system, including your lungs, will be functioning properly. So, Anulom Vilom once more, breathe in through the left, hold, breathe out through the right, breathe in through the right, hold, breathe out through the left. Do this at least 16, 17 times, less than 20 times or whatever, and then see how your day progresses. The proof of the pudding is in the eating it. As Patanjali says in the Yoga Sutra, Nairantariya Abhyasena, regular practice is required like anything else. Can we play golf without practice? The swing or putting? Can we play cricket without practice? Can we wrestle without practice? Can we practice Kalaripayat or karate without everything required? If I have to be a chartered accountant, don't I have to work hard and practice? So, here also is required. What happens is people think for this there is no time, for everything else there is time. This big I have no time to do yoga, but you have time for everything else. So, make some time. I tell people make some time, make it part of our regular routine. A man as busy as the Prime Minister, I don't think anybody is busier, practices yoga half an hour minimum every day. How? Because you want to do it. I know several busy people who practice. So, make it a habit. It is one of the most wonderful gifts given to the world from this country of ours. In the West, many people have picked it up. At least for that reason, we should pick up. Look, we, we have picked up business attitudes, we have picked up many things from the West. Good things are there. I am not saying we have picked up suits, we have picked up ties, we have picked up. Now, why don't we pick up yoga, because at least this practice there. Hollywood is full of yoga schools. I travel a lot, I know that.
Right.
Not Bollywood.
One more question the audience member has asked, that there is this technique I'm not aware of. It's called Who Am I technique
Oh, yes.
by Sri Ramana Maharshi. So they're asking if you could throw some light on this technique.
That has nothing to do with the issue of yoga, mental health and well-being, today's subject. It is a deeply philosophical and metaphysical idea, but let me throw some light since the question is asked. You look at this. Ramana Maharshi did not have a guru. No, we don't know at least. And he never said also. But we must remember, we are all not Ramana Maharshis, so we may need some help. I am not saying you should surrender to somebody, at least you need some help. Ramana Maharshi did not need it, he was a highly advanced being, what you might call a child prodigy. Now, yes, he said, it is a very simple thing which he said, food for thought. I can't explain the whole philosophy to you like that, but what he said was quite basically it is a metaphysical and philosophical concept taken from the Upanishads. From the Upanishads is the cream of the Vedic teachings that we have. It was taken from that. He didn't, whether he took it or not is not the question, because he didn't read any scriptures. What I am trying to say is it can be discovered originally also. He did not read any scriptures, but later on when scriptures were read to him, like the Upanishads and so on, he said, this is what I felt like. So he found it himself, okay, does not matter. So what was the crux of his teaching? It is simple. When he was 15 years old or 14 years old, I forget the exact, one day he thought he was going to die. Now normally people get panicky, I am going to die. But he did not get panicky, he lay down And he said, if I am dead, this is how I am going to lie down, like a dead body. I am going to take it to the cremation ground. Okay. And then when he did that, he suddenly realized that the body was dead, but he was alive. It's not everyday experience for people. It's not his imagination. He actually saw that he was there and the body was dead. So he said, if I am still alive and the body is under all conditions looking dead, am I the body or can I be something else? Then it went on to say, if I am the mind, am I the mind or does the mind belong to me? It's a very simple example. See, today I am wearing these clothes, you are wearing those clothes, and you are identified. When I say, I am looking for your full name, when I say Mr. Kartik Sharma, I mean you as you are right now, including your coat and your tie and your face and your everything. This is Kartik Sharma. But when you go home and take all these things and put them on a hanger, you are different from your clothes. Okay. Now we all keep saying my body, my head, my mind. So Maharshi said, if it is mine, I cannot be what is mine, I have to be different from what is mine. Clothes, when I wear them, I am, including the clothes, but they are mine. When I take them out and hang them there, they are different and I am different. So what is mine cannot be me. His thread of thought. So he said, if that is the case, then what am I really? Who am I? So he went deep into the system and came out with the discovery that actually the real him or I or you is actually the all pervading blissful supreme reality. Started with the analysis, if I am not the body, if I am the, who am I? In fact, Ramana Maharshi has not written anything except a small booklet called in Tamil, Nan Yar, who am I? Nothing else is written. All the things you see written, all were written by other people. He never wrote anything. Maybe they had discussions with him and recorded them or wrote them down, or I don't know. The only little booklet is who am I? As usual, of course, the English journalists and the foreign people took over and did many things. Let's not go into that, Paul Brenton and other. But Maharshi never said anything except who am I? So, this question of one's identity, what you might call today an identity crisis, existed 1,000 years ago, and Ramana Maharshi solved it in his own way, this identity crisis. And much before him, there is an Upanishad called the Keno Upanishad. Let's say 1,000 years at a conservative estimate. It's called the Who Upanishad because Keno in Sanskrit means who. What I am trying to say is that the identity crisis has existed for years, and the Keno Upanishads cracked it, saying who I really am.
Right. No, I think that's very helpful, sir. You gave
Thank
us
you.
the good context.
Thanks.
One last question I'm going to take in the interest of time.
Yes.
So this gentleman is asking that, and I can relate to it as well. The question is that in today's time, the elders in our house, they are extremely fearful because they believe that they are the most vulnerable,
I
and
know.
if they get COVID, it's the
True.
end of the life.
True.
How we can make them more comfortable? How we can calm them? So any advice?
Yes. I would suggest that if they are amenable to watching YouTube, put them onto the YouTube videos and say, this guy who is talking is 72 years old. He's like you. He's not panicking. Please listen. One of the ways of doing it. Otherwise, you have to keep them entertained, or you need to do something so that the mind is taken away from this constant fear of the disease. Give them some breathing exercise so their lungs are kept strong. If they are very weak, give them B complex. I am not a doctor, I suggest NeuroBeyond, B1, B2. If they have diabetes, you can't give them Chyawanprash because it has a lot of jaggery. Otherwise, Chyawanprash is fine. It's a wonderful Ayurvedic rejuvenator tonic. But if they have blood sugar, then you can't have it because it has lots of jaggery in it. So, we need to find out ways and means of doing it, and also please remember that each person is an individual, so it is difficult to generalize. Somebody may be actually very weak because of some disease. You see, the most vulnerable people in this category are those who already have high diabetes, whose liver is weak, whose heart is weak. They are more vulnerable. So, you have to take precautions against that, but as far as the mind precautions are concerned, you need to give them courage. You need to say that your age is not a question of your number of years that you live, but your mindset. This is to suppose they are devotionally minded, give them devotional songs to listen to, show them nice old pictures, life of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, everything is on video now. You can see it on TV if you have a smart TV. There are lives of Vivekananda, old Ramayana, and they would love it because when they were young the Ramayana came out, right. So, do something to keep their minds occupied so that they are not afraid. When the mind is blank, when there is nothing to do, then fear comes and haunts you. Keep them occupied in such positive endeavors. And this is really, I am serious, tell them that this man, this YouTube man who is talking is actually 72 years old, he is not panicking, there is no need to panic.
Right. No, that's helpful. I think I'm going to do the same with my dad as well. I'm going to show him. And coming to the last section, sir, we ran a small contest so that the winner will win a copy of your upcoming yoga also for godless.
Please remember when you say that title to say yoga also for the godless. It is not yoga for the godless.
Yoga also for the godless.
I believe in God.
Also for the godless. In fact, sir, before I announce the winner, do you want to take a couple of minutes just to tell a little bit about the book and what it entails?
Yeah. So, Yoga for the Godless was written because if you read the first part of that book, you will see why I wrote it. There was a young lady who had gone abroad and come back and all and wanted to practice yoga. She went to many places and they said, oh, you have to chant this mantra, you have to chant that mantra, or you have to become a disciple of this guru, otherwise you cannot chant, you cannot practice yoga. So she came to me, I think you are a yogi, what do you say? I said, look, you don't have to do any such thing. You can still practice yoga. And if you want to see if yoga is effective, you will find out at the end when you practice. You don't have to start with a belief system. That's what I mean actually, basically. You don't have to start with a belief system. You need to start with a scientific training. This is yoga. And it is useful for everybody, young and old. Of course, the ways, modes of teaching should be different for young and for the old. That is a different matter. But it is useful for everyone. And since yoga is a darshana by itself, among the 6 darshanas in Indian philosophy, it has its own value. And all I want to say is that anyone, no matter what their belief system is, or they have no belief system, can still practice yoga, because according to Patanjali, the definition of yoga is merely yogas chitta vritti nirodha. How to stop the disturbances of the chitta, of the mind stuff. This is the aim of yoga. And after doing yoga, when the mind becomes calm and enters the state called samadhi, samyama, where the mind, then you can find out whether you want a divine being or not, whether such a thing exists, but at least it will take you there. You will be physically fit, your mind will begin to become quiet and calm under all circumstances. You will get more energy because you are not wasting energy. And unlike what people think, a yogi actually thinks very sharply. It is not as if he becomes dull by meditation. No, the mind opens up. You get access to multiple dimensions. So, this is the importance of this book. So, whatever your belief system, the chief rabbi of Delhi uh, is a very good friend of mine. He loved the book, he read it. He said, although there is no mention of Jehovah here, I love it. I mean, he's a very funny man, but he's a wonderful guy. So, no matter what your belief system, Vaishnavite, Shaivite, in between, Shakta or atheist, Charvaka, you can still read this book and derive benefit, young or old. It sounds as if I am advertising for Westland, but it's a fact what I am saying. So, this is the Yoga for the Godless. I think you have a copy there.
Yeah.
Can you see? Yeah.
Yes, sir, we can see. Yes. Yes.
Yoga also for the godless. Please remember the also.
Yes, sir. In fact, the winner of the contest is Shri Tarun Mandalji.
Uh-huh.
Tarun Mandalji, you will get a copy of the book Yoga Also for Godless
Good.
very soon. And I urge everyone to grab a copy. We'll share the link to all of you who have attended today. I think it's available on Amazon also, I believe. We'll share the link with you and you can get your copy. And with this, we are at end of today's session. Thank
Dhanyavad to all, and
you.
especially to Kartik Sharma ji for introducing me, and to all the friends who are here listening to me, both my age and above or less. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Om Shanti Shanti.
Om Shanti.